Commander Alex Mitchell's heart raced as the airlock cycled. After 15 years of atmospheric signals and cryptic transmissions, humanity was about to meet the Stellarans face-to-face for the first time. As the chief liaison officer aboard the International Space Station's new diplomatic wing, the responsibility of first contact rested squarely on his shoulders. "Pressure equalized," announced the station's AI. Preparing to open inner door. Alex straightened his uniform and took a deep breath. Behind him, Admiral Kowalski and the diplomatic team fidgeted nervously. "Remember," Alex whispered, "they've studied our languages, but not our idioms. Keep communication direct and literal." The door slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a slender figure in shimmering blue garments. Alex's prepared greeting died on his lips as the Stellaran removed her atmospheric helmet. She, and Alex instinctively thought of her as female, had alabaster skin with a subtle pearlescent sheen. Her features were delicate and symmetrical, almost human except for the intricate patterns of luminescent markings that pulsed softly along her temples and cheekbones. Large, iridescent eyes regarded him with unmistakable intelligence. "I am Alara, voice of the Stellaran Collective," she said in flawless English, her voice melodic with an otherworldly lilt. "I bring greetings and peaceful intentions from our people to yours." Alex remembered his training and placed his palm over his heart, the universal gesture they had established through prior communications. "Commander Alexander Mitchell, representing Earth's United Space Coalition. We welcome you and your delegation to our humble station." Alara tilted her head slightly, studying him with curious intensity. "Your accommodation is not humble, Commander. It is precisely 108 meters in length with advanced life support systems. Why do you diminish your achievement?" A stunned silence fell over the human delegation before Admiral Kowalski unsuccessfully tried to suppress a chuckle. Alex felt heat rise to his cheeks. "It's just a figure of speech, Alara. Humans sometimes understate things as a form of politeness." "Fascinating," she replied, her markings pulsing more rapidly. "Your species communicates through deliberate inaccuracy as a social courtesy. I will make note of this." As the formal introductions continued, Alex couldn't help but notice how gracefully Alara moved in the station's artificial gravity. The Stellarans had sent images and biological data in advance, but nothing had prepared him for her presence, both alien and inexplicably familiar. During the diplomatic tour, Alara stopped at the observation module, gazing out at Earth's blue sphere below them. "Your world is even more beautiful from this proximity," she said softly. Alex moved to stand beside her. "First time seeing Earth from space." "First time seeing it with these eyes," she replied cryptically. "We have observed your world for centuries, but experience transcends observation." Their eyes met in the reflection of the reinforced glass, and Alex felt an unexpected connection, a bridge across the vast evolutionary and cultural differences that separated them. Later that evening, after the formal reception, Alex found Alara alone in the hydroponics bay, gently touching the leaves of a tomato plant. "Your flora responds to touch," she observed as he approached. "As do your people, I've noticed. Physical contact holds great significance for humans." "Yes," Alex admitted, suddenly aware of how close they were standing. "Touch is important to us. It builds trust, intimacy." "Intimacy," Alara repeated the word carefully. "We have similar concepts, though expressed differently. Our markings," she gestured to the luminescent patterns on her skin that had shifted to a warm amber hue, "reveal what we feel before we speak it." Alex realized with a start that he'd been staring and quickly averted his gaze. "I should let you rest. Tomorrow's schedule is packed with meetings." "Commander," Alara called as he turned to leave. "I look forward to learning more about your figures of speech. Perhaps you could teach me." Alex smiled, feeling the strange flutter in his chest again. "I'd like that, Alara." As he walked back to his quarters, Alex knew that the diplomatic mission had already become something far more complex than he had anticipated. The Stellarans had sent their most captivating representative, and despite all his training, he was already falling into uncharted territory, where professional duty blurred with personal fascination. "So you're telling me that when humans say they're over the moon, they haven't actually traveled beyond your satellite?" Alara asked, her luminescent markings shifting to a curious shade of turquoise. Alex laughed, leaning back in his chair in the station's small recreation area. 2 weeks into the diplomatic mission, Admiral Kowalski had officially tasked him with helping Alara understand human expressions and cultural nuances. a role he found increasingly enjoyable. Exactly. It just means we're extremely happy about something, he explained. Alara nodded thoughtfully. Your language is layered with metaphor. In stellar communication, we value precision above all. This makes your idioms challenging but intriguing. What about stellar expressions? Do you have sayings that might confuse me? Alex asked, genuinely curious. Alara's markings pulsed briefly before she replied. We might say someone shares the cosmic resonance, when you would say they are on the same wavelength. Though our phrase has its origins in actual quantum entanglement properties. Alex raised his eyebrows, impressed. So your metaphors are based on scientific principles? Many are, she confirmed. Though as I spend more time with humans, I find your poetic approach to language has its own beauty. The way she said the word beauty made Alex's pulse quicken. Every day, he found himself looking forward to these sessions more than any other part of his duties. The professional lines he'd been so careful to maintain were slowly blurring. I brought something to show you, he said, pulling out a tablet. Earth films. They're full of cultural references and idioms in context. I thought it might help. Alara moved closer, the subtle floral scent that seemed to emanate from her skin filling the small space between them. What film have you chosen? An old classic called Field of Dreams. It's about baseball, one of our sports, but it's really about second chances and connections across time. As the film played, Alex became increasingly aware of Alara's proximity. Her shoulder occasionally brushed against his, sending an unexpected warmth through him each time. He found himself watching her reactions more than the movie itself, the way her markings shifted colors with her emotions, how her eyes widened at pivotal moments. During a scene where the main character built a baseball diamond in his cornfield, Alara turned to him suddenly. This baseball, it holds great cultural significance for your people? Alex nodded. For many, yes. It's more than just a game. It represents tradition, family, summer days, a certain idealized version of human life. And this concept of home, both a physical place in the game and an emotional state in the narrative, this duality is intentional? Very perceptive, Alex said, impressed. Home is where you start from, where you return to. In baseball, reaching home plate means you've scored, completed the circuit. Alara was quiet for a moment, her markings shifting to a deep blue that Alex hadn't seen before. We have no direct equivalent for home, as you understand it. Stellarans are semi-nomadic by nature. Our connection is to our collective, not to places. Something in her voice made Alex reach out impulsively, his fingers lightly touching her wrist. Does that make you sad? Her skin warmed beneath his touch, her markings pulsing rapidly. Not sad, but curious. Your concept of home has emotional resonance I hadn't anticipated. The film continued playing, forgotten in the background as they sat in comfortable silence, Alex's hand still resting gently on hers. Neither moved to break the contact. Later that evening, as Alex escorted Alara back to her quarters, she paused at her door. Tomorrow, would you show me more of your human customs? Not just through films, but perhaps, experientially. What did you have in mind? He asked, trying to ignore the flutter in his chest. I've observed that humans often share meals as a social bonding ritual. Would you dine with me? Not as diplomatic liaison, but as friends. Alex offered. Alara's markings shifted to a warm golden hue. Yes, Alex. As friends. The way she said his name, not his title, but his name, lingered in his mind long after he'd returned to his own quarters. He found himself standing at his viewport, staring out at the stars, wondering if somewhere among them was a world where humans and Stellarans could be more than just diplomatic allies, more than just friends. I think we're really going to hit a home run with this treaty, Alex said, reviewing the draft agreement they'd spent weeks perfecting. The cultural exchange program between Earth and the Stellaran Collective was his proudest achievement in 15 years of space service. Across the table in the station's conference room, Alara went completely still. Her luminescent markings, which had been a content azure, suddenly faded to a pale, almost colorless state. You wish to return home? She asked, her melodic voice unnaturally flat. Alex looked up from his tablet, confused. What? No, I meant. You said home run. From our film study. I understand this means returning to one's place of origin after completing a circuit, she continued, her markings now pulsing in an erratic pattern. You feel your work here is complete. Alex realized his mistake and opened his mouth to explain, but Admiral Kowalski chose that moment to enter the conference room with the rest of the diplomatic team. Commander Mitchell, the UN Secretary-General, is ready for our update. Shall we begin the transmission? Throughout the video conference, Alex kept glancing at Alara, but she maintained perfect diplomatic composure, her earlier distress hidden behind a professional facade. Only the unusual paleness of her markings betrayed her in her turmoil. After the meeting concluded, Alara slipped away before Alex could speak with her. For 3 days, she became mysteriously difficult to find outside of official functions. When their paths did cross, her responses were polite but distant. On the 4th evening, desperate to clear the air, Alex used his security override to track her location on the station. The system showed her in an unexpected place, the EVA prep chamber. He found her there, methodically checking a spacesuit designed for stellar and physiology. Alara, what are you doing? She turned, seemingly unsurprised by his presence. Preparing to fulfill your wish. My wish? For your home run. I have arranged transport for you. The Stellaran vessel can create a wormhole that will return you to Earth in minutes rather than the days your shuttles require. Her markings were now a deep indigo, a color he had never seen her display before. Alex stepped closer. Alara, that's not what I meant. Hitting a home run is just another idiom. It means succeeding at something, achieving a victory. Alara's markings fluctuated rapidly. Then, you don't wish to return to Earth? No, he said softly. Actually, the thought of leaving the station, leaving you, has been making me miserable. The admission hung in the air between them. Alara's markings slowly shifted from indigo to a warm, pulsing rose color that spread across her features. I misunderstood, she whispered. It's my fault. I keep forgetting how literal translations can miss the meaning. Alex moved closer still, until they were standing just inches apart. But maybe some things don't need translation. Slowly, giving her time to withdraw if she wished, he reached up to touch her face. Her skin was impossibly smooth beneath his fingers, warm and slightly luminescent. Alara's eyes widened, but she didn't pull away. Instead, she leaned into his touch. In my culture, she said, her voice barely audible, this form of contact is reserved for those who share soul resonance. It is intimate. In mine too, Alex replied, his heart hammering in his chest. When their lips met, it was tentative at first, a question rather than a declaration. But then Alara's arms wrapped around him, pulling him closer as her markings blazed with brilliant light that bathed them both in a rosy glow. The kiss deepened, and Alex felt a strange sensation, as if their consciousness were briefly merging. Fleeting impressions of alien landscapes, crystalline cities, and stars seen from unfamiliar skies flashed through his mind. When they finally broke apart, they were both breathless. Alara's entire body was illuminated with pulsing patterns that seemed to follow the rhythm of her heartbeat, or hearts, as Alex now somehow knew she possessed too. That was. He began. Soul sharing, she finished. It doesn't usually happen so quickly with my kind. Or so intensely. Alex brushed his thumb across her cheekbone, watching the light follow his touch like ripples on water. Does this complicate things? Immeasurably, she answered with a smile that transformed her face. But complexity is the foundation of all beautiful systems in the universe. As they stood together in the small chamber, the stars visible through the viewport seemed to bear witness to a connection that neither Earth's diplomats nor the Stellaran collective had anticipated in their careful negotiations, a bond that transcended species, culture, and the cold vacuum of space between their worlds. This is completely unprecedented, Admiral Kowalski said, pacing the length of his office. An intimate relationship between the human diplomatic liaison and the Stellaran representative? Do you have any idea of the potential complications? Alex stood at attention, his posture military perfect despite the turmoil inside him. With respect, Admiral, my personal relationship with Alara hasn't affected my professional judgment. Hasn't it? Kowalski stopped pacing. The security footage from the EVA prep chamber suggests otherwise. Heat rushed to Alex's face. He'd forgotten about the station's omnipresent cameras. Sir, what happened was unexpected, but nothing, Commander. The UN Security Council is in an uproar. Half of them think you're being manipulated for Stellaran gain. The other half are worried about interspecies biological contamination. Kowalski sighed, his stern expression softening slightly. And a small, rational minority thinks this might actually be the most beautiful diplomatic breakthrough in human history. Alex blinked in surprise. Sir, Mitchell, I've known you for 15 years. You're the most level-headed officer under my command. If you've developed feelings for the Stellaran ambassador, I trust it's not without good reason. The Admiral leaned against his desk. The question is, what happens now? The question echoed in Alex's mind later that evening as he waited in the hydroponics bay, their prearranged meeting spot away from the busiest parts of the station. Alara arrived silently, her graceful form appearing between rows of growing plants. Her markings were muted, controlling their natural luminescence. "Your superior officer is concerned," she stated without preamble. "You could say that," Alex replied with a wry smile. "How did your people react?" "With fascination," Alara said, moving closer. "Stellarans have encountered many species in our explorations, but never before has there been a soul resonance with a non-Stellaran being. The collective is intensely curious." "Is that a polite way of saying they want to study us?" Alex asked, only half joking. "They wish to understand," she corrected gently. "As do I." Her markings pulsed briefly with a violet hue. "During our soul sharing, I experienced impressions of your mind. Your memories, feelings. Did you experience mine as well?" Alex nodded slowly. "Fragments. Strange landscapes. Feelings that didn't seem human. It was beautiful but disorienting. Then you understand why this is significant beyond the personal or even diplomatic realm." Alara took his hands in hers, her skin warming against his. "Our species evolved separately, across vast distances of space. Yet somehow, our minds can touch, connect. But what does it mean for us?" Alex asked, the question that had been burning inside him. "The treaty negotiations end in 3 weeks. You'll return to your people, and I'll be reassigned." Alara's markings shifted to a deep amber color that seemed to reflect the conflict in her eyes. "I've been authorized by the collective to extend an invitation. You could return with me, Alex. Be our ambassador. The first human to live among Stellarans." The offer struck him silent. "Leave Earth? Everything and everyone you knew? I don't know what to say." "You need not decide now," she said. "But there is something I must show you first. Something that may help you understand what lies between us." She raised her hands to frame his face, her touch featherlight. "Stellarans can share more than fleeting impressions. With your permission, I can open my mind fully to you." Alex hesitated only briefly before nodding. "I trust you." Alara's markings blazed suddenly with radiant light as she pressed her forehead against his. The hydroponics bay dissolved around them. Alex gasped as his consciousness expanded beyond the confines of his own mind. He was standing in a vast crystalline city beneath twin moons, feeling the gentle vibration of crystal spires that resonated with celestial harmonies. He saw through Alara's memories, her childhood in the communal education pods, her training as a voice of the collective, her first glimpse of Earth through long-range sensors. And most staggeringly, he felt her emotions, her initial scientific curiosity about humans giving way to fascination with him specifically, her confusion at the unfamiliar feelings he stirred in her. The moment she realized she was experiencing what humans called falling in love. The vision shifted, showing possible futures, Alex among the Stellarans, learning their ways, becoming a bridge between worlds. Or Alara remaining on the station, adapting to human customs, perhaps eventually visiting Earth. Both paths held joy and challenges, sacrifice and discovery. When the connection broke, they were both trembling. Tears streaked Alex's cheeks, and Alara's markings were cycling through colors so rapidly they created a prismatic effect on her skin. "Now you understand," she whispered. "Whatever path we choose, it will not be easy. But the connection between us is real. Rare, even among my people." Alex pulled her close, holding her against his thundering heart. "I think I've been waiting for you my whole life without knowing it," he murmured into her hair. "We'll find a way." As they stood entwined among the growing plants, life from Earth reaching toward the artificial lights, the vast differences between their worlds seemed simultaneously insurmountable and utterly inconsequential. The observation deck was silent save for the soft hum of life support systems. Earth hung below them, a perfect blue marble wrapped in swirling white clouds, oblivious to the momentous decisions being made in orbit above it. "The Stellaran vessel departs in 6 hours, Admiral Kowalski said, his voice uncharacteristically gentle. "Have you made your decision, Commander?" Alex stared at his home planet. After the mind-sharing with Alara 2 weeks ago, he'd been granted compassionate leave to consider his options. The diplomatic corps had been surprisingly accommodating once they understood the unprecedented nature of his connection with Alara. "I have, sir," Alex replied. "But I'd like to speak with Alara one more time." The Admiral nodded. "She's waiting for you in your quarters. For what it's worth, Mitchell, whatever you decide, you've already made history. The treaty is signed." Earth and the Stellaran Collective are officially allies. Thank you, sir. Alex saluted sharply, perhaps for the last time. As the door to his quarters slid open, Alex's breath caught. Alara stood by the viewport, silhouetted against the stars, more beautiful than any being he had ever known. She wore traditional Stellaran garments, flowing fabrics that seemed to capture and refract light. Her markings pulsed with a slow, steady rhythm. You've reached a decision, she said, not a question but a statement. The soul sharing had left an indelible connection between them. Not telepathy exactly, but a profound empathic awareness. I have. Alex moved to stand beside her. But first, I want to say something. When we met, I thought the language barrier would be our greatest challenge. The idioms, the cultural references. The home runs, Alara added with a small smile. Exactly. But I was wrong. Words, we can translate. It's the deeper things, leaving your home, your people, everything familiar. Those are the true challenges. Alara's markings shifted to a contemplative blue-violet. The collective has existence on 17 worlds. We are accustomed to adaptation to new environments. But you've never been separated from the collective consciousness, have you? If you stayed here, you'd be alone in a way I can barely comprehend. Her markings pulsed once, brightly. Not alone. With you. Alex took her hands in his, marveling as he always did at the way her skin responded to his touch. Warming, illuminating. That's why I can't let you make that sacrifice. Pain flashed across her features. You've chosen to remain. No, he said softly. I've chosen us, but on different terms than either of our governments suggested. From his pocket, he withdrew a small data crystal, Stellaran technology that the diplomatic team had been gifted. This contains my proposal to both the UN Security Council and the Stellaran Collective. Instead of me becoming an ambassador on your homeworld, or you remaining here indefinitely, I've requested command of a joint mission. Alara's markings brightened with interest. What kind of mission? A deep space exploration vessel, crewed by both humans and Stellarans. The first of its kind. Alex squeezed her hands. We would be pioneers, charting a course between our worlds, belonging fully to neither, but creating something new. Together. The light from Alara's markings intensified until she seemed to glow from within, the most radiant display of emotion he had yet witnessed. The council has approved this, she asked, her voice vibrating with barely contained joy. Provisionally. They see the diplomatic value. And the collective? They will agree, she said with certainty. Such a path fulfills one of our oldest philosophical tenets, that true understanding comes only through shared journey, not destination. Alex drew her close, their foreheads touching in the stellar and gesture of intimate connection. The same electric sensation from their first soul-sharing flickered between them, but gentler now, more controlled. There will be challenges, he whispered. Things neither of us can anticipate. All journeys worth taking involve uncertainty, she replied. Her hands framed his face as she kissed him, a human gesture she had embraced with enthusiasm. But I would rather face the unknown with you than certainty without you. Later, as they stood in the docking bay watching the preparations for the Stellaran vessel's departure, Alex felt a profound sense of rightness. The ship would return in 6 months with the first Stellaran crew members for their joint mission. Until then, he and Alara would lay the groundwork, developing protocols for the unprecedented collaboration. You know, he said as they watched the elegant alien craft prepare for departure. In baseball, sometimes the most valuable player isn't the one who hits the most home runs. It's the one who finds new ways to advance the game. Alara's markings shimmered with amusement. Are you making another idiom, Alex Mitchell? Maybe I am. He laughed, pulling her close. Maybe I am. Above them, the station's viewports filled with light as the Stellaran ship activated its wormhole drive. For a breathtaking moment, the fabric of space itself seemed to fold, revealing glimpses of distant stars before settling back into the familiar constellations of Earth's night sky. But to Alex, even the familiar had been transformed. Every star now represented not just mystery, but possibility, potential homes, adventures, discoveries. And standing beside him was the most wondrous discovery of all, proof that across the vast gulfs of space and difference, connection was possible. Love was possible. Some things, after all, required no translation.